welcome. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome to this 5th annual edition of the Metaverse Safety Week. This is a global awareness campaign that was created and is constantly powered by the XRSI, X-Reality Safety Intelligence, with a goal to connect the many stakeholders around the globe around the topics that matters when it comes for emerging technologies and responsible and safe use of these technologies in our society. Well, we are living right now in the middle of the hype of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is converging and merging with XR technologies, and they are providing so many opportunities. But at the same time, we know there are some meaningful risks and challenges out there. And when preparing the sessions and all of these days, today we are in the day 3, we were thinking about one aspect. We can potentially set the tone of the conversation around these challenges, focusing on the fear, so focusing on the risks, but at the same time, there is another opportunity. How about setting up the tone about embracing people, guiding them, equipping them with the tools to really manage the risk and to maximize the opportunities of the digital platforms and digital horizons. We decided to do the second. So we decided to really focus on embracing the change, embracing new technologies as something that can be an opportunity for the future. So my name is Valentino Megale. I'm advisor at the XRSI since 2020, 2021, I would say. I'm leading also the Child Safety Initiative. And today is the result also of the work that we are moving on with the Child Safety Initiative. So bringing to the attention how important it is to empower the new generations, the youngsters, the teenagers, and the future adults in using responsibly new technology. So I'm really excited because this is a day when so many speakers from the US, from Europe, from everywhere in the world, they are connecting together. They are sharing their expertise with you, and you are part of this because all of the audience will not just be passive audience. Everybody of you will have the opportunity to also listen, but also provide some insights, and that's what we want. This is a community lab modality where everybody can connect, provide insights, and we will make the best to extract insights from this common and global intelligence to provide actionable information that can build awareness and can build the tools to embrace the future and embrace the change, as we said before. A little bit about the XRSI. So X-Reality Safety Intelligence is actually the organizer and an award-winning safety campaign, the Metaverse Safety Week. Our mission is really to pioneer the safeguarding of data, privacy, safety, and security standards and certification when it comes for emerging tech industries. We really started with XR, but now it's all about the convergence, and we definitely consider technologies as a convergence. I have the honor today to collaborate with my co-chair, Sunita Patel, and very soon I'm definitely handing over the stage to you also. This is the day dedicated to the youth empowerment. And really the goal today is to see youngsters not as the audience, but as ethical leaders of the future. So how we can empower them through digital literacy, education, also co-design of the solution and the platform they are going to use in the future. The goal of today is to see youngsters as active players of their own futures and the future that we are going to share. Before moving on, I definitely need to thank the many people that are working together to bring this to life. First of all, our event director, Banujit Chaudhry. Thanks a lot, Banu, for all the work that you are doing, coordinating not only our day, but the many other days of the week. Also, Chris Humbustel, which is representative from Unanimous AI, that will play a key part in our discussion. Also, our timekeeper, Diana, and of course, our CEO, Kavya Perlman. Well, before moving on, I also want to thank First of all, Meta is actually a sponsor of this event for the fourth year in a row. Meta is ensuring that this event is free and it's available to everyone. So all of you can have access today and also in the future to this kind of content. And we think that the great expertise of the speakers is extremely precious as an added value. As you know, Meta builds technologies that are oriented to connect people, to build communities, and to grow businesses, not only in the digital layer, but now also beyond the screens, in the metaverse, in the domain of virtual worlds. So having Meta today is an honor, is a pleasure, is a great opportunity to build together a safe future for the metaverse and for the virtual worlds. And I also want to thanks Anonymous AI, which is a company working on technologies such as Thingscape and Swarm AI that we will see in action. We will really use these tools to do what? Actually, to amplify the intelligence of network of humans. We are going to discuss through very polarized, we can say, questions, very difficult topics. And when many people are talking about these aspects, it's always challenging to find consensus. What about using AI to find consensus in a more, we can say, data-driven way so that we can move on with the discussion and build more robustly solutions and opportunities? Well, I'm ready also to turn this over to my co-chair, Sunita Patel. Welcome and enjoy this entire session. Sunita, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Valentino, and hello, everybody. I am so honored to join Valentino and all of you here today to discuss how to involve the younger generation to create a more inclusive, innovative, and responsible digital future. A little bit about myself. I am currently serving as an advisor to XRSI for risk in the digital ecosystem. And my other job is currently as Senior Assistant General Counsel for Micron. And Micron is a company that makes semiconductor chips, which essentially is the building block of our digital ecosystem, in my view. Prior to Micron, I was at the United States White House, the Office of the National Cyber Director, working on cyber policy. And I have 17 years of experience in different sorts of security related fields. But throughout my career and professional experience, I had the opportunity to have two wonderful children who are the reason for why I am participating in events like this and serving as an advisor to organizations like XRSI. This topic is so critically important to me personally, professionally, and I'm just absolutely thrilled to be a co-chair here with you all today. So I wanted to go over some of today's objectives and a little bit of the run of show so it gives us guidance in how the rest of today is going to go. We have 3 objectives for today. So the first objective is understanding youth needs. Analyze perspectives on safe, secure, and meaningful engagement in immersive technologies by our youth. So we really want to understand what is it that kids need in terms of digital technology and immersive technologies. The second objective is build responsible immersive experiences. Once we understand what our youth need in the context of immersive technologies, we want to know how to actually build, develop, and deploy that technology so that we prioritize children's involvement, their safety, security, and inclusion in these digital environments. Now, the third objective builds on the first two and talks about community-led, youth-centric digital futures. It takes a village to raise our children, and that's what they always say. And so this objective is building on that theme. How do we equip our children's community, which is composed of guardians, educators, and other stakeholders, with strategies to guide them towards safe, secure, and meaningful use of immersive technologies? These 3 objectives are really the core of why we are here today. Again, how do we build this experience for them in a manner that they need and they will be living in? So the run of show today is our session is structured for maximum engagement and insight. It's going to be 3.5 hours long. with 2 breaks, one 10-minute break and one 20-minute break. And we plan to cover the 3 objectives I just mentioned during a community lab, each via a separate deliberation method. We'll start with 20-minute opening keynote by Catherine Henry. I'm so excited to hear you speak, Catherine, and learn from you. And we're going to follow it by a swarm session for Objective 1, then a community session for Objective 2, and end the lab with an engaging Thinkscape session to deliver Objective 3. For all of these formats, we will go into more detail, either Valentino or myself, so that we can really understand how to participate in them during today's activities. 2 thematic discussions on separate subtopics, each followed by an intelligence gathering Q&A will occur, where contributors and observers can collectively shape our conclusions. There's a couple of ground rules to today's session. So we'd like you to please keep your microphone muted unless you're speaking. Please use the virtual hand raising feature to contribute. Please keep comments concise and within the allocated time. Please maintain respect and professionalism in discussions. At any given time, please use the chat feature for related resources or side comments. And you are encouraged to be on video at all times, especially when delivering remarks. As an observer, you can use the raise hand feature to participate in the discussion. Once you do so, you will be permitted to talk. As an observer, you can also use the Q&A section to share questions, concerns, and comments at any time during the session. And we will try our best to get to them or respond later via email. We're using 2 profoundly novel technologies today to guide our discussion. In order to participate fully in the lab activities, you must use a laptop or a PC, as one of the technology platforms, Thinkscape, is not yet compatible with mobile or tablets. Lastly, many thanks to the individuals representing organizations who are here today and actively contribute and observe. Child Online Africa, Alana Institute, BBB National Programs, Digital Wellness Africa, Child Safety Net, the National Youth Agency, Global Lab Network, and a full list of all of our community partners and contributors are available on the MSW website, which Banu can provide. Now, it is my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce our keynote speaker, Catherine Henry. Futurist, emerging tech consultant, best-selling tech author of Virtual Natives, How Gen Z is Evolving Through the Lens of Technology, and Superhuman About Thriving in the Age of AI. Catherine D. Henry decodes the future of technology and its impact on business and culture. A leading expert in AI, spatial computing, and Web3, she guides companies through digital transformation with razor-sharp insight. With 20-plus years of experience from the World Bank to Wall Street, Catherine has managed billion-dollar portfolios and led teams and projects across global 64 markets. Her economics background fuels her unique approach to forecasting tech trends, or megatrends, providing operational foresight for corporations seeking to navigate in increasingly complex competitive markets. Her best-selling book, Virtual Natives, is the go-to playbook for understanding Gen Z, emerging tech, and the future of work. It's required reading for forward-thinking leaders across industries. Catherine advised SXSW, South by Southwest, and the Interactive Advertising Board, and led the VR/AR Association's LA chapter. Named among Campaign Magazine's top 40 US media and tech leaders and ADAge's top 20 Web3 marketing pioneers, Catherine's insights shape industries. Her Forbes Innovation column is a must-read for tech enthusiasts. She's also fluent in 5 languages and African American. Catherine brings a global perspective to the tech landscape. She doesn't just predict the future, she helps create it and this is critical for setting the tone for today. Catherine, I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here, and I'm turning the floor over to you.
Thank you. Wow, that was quite an introduction, my entire bio. Well, I couldn't be more happy to be here to talk about this subject because, of course, the metaverse is still growing and thriving. And I think that it's really important to talk about all of the things that we have in store today. So I'm going to pop into the, the presentation, and I'm going to just present it now. Oh, here we go. So basically what we've been talking about is, the virtual natives, and that's the kind of the digital natives 2.0, because digital natives was a term that was founded in 1988 by a gentleman who was a marketer, and he realized that the early technology would have a profound impact on young people using it. And like any new technology, they wanted to understand what its long-term impact would be, and so they started the first wave of digital anthropology, which focused on an internet that was static, that was basically a repository for information, and it wasn't even social. The term digital natives was coined, again, as I said, about like 5 years before Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook. So you can imagine that this is like several years before he even started college. So things have evolved pretty dramatically since then. And what I want to say is, right now we're in this period of great acceleration. We talked before about the great convergence, and I think that at this point we're at this super cycle where everything's coming together, and it's coming together more quickly than we could possibly have imagined even just 3-4 years ago during the pandemic, when Zoom was considered a new technology. But since then, we've had virtual reality, augmented reality, we've had AI. And soon quantum computing. We've recently started to hear about new experiments in that space. So emerging technology is coming together, but it's not really about the technology. What I'd like to encourage you all is to really think about how technology and culture are coming together, the symbiosis of technology and culture. Because at the end of the day, it's how the culture is using technology, and also the limitations that we place upon it. So first, I want to start off with the cultural lens. I mean, used to think about, I live in Paris. And so in the old days, we talk about, acting local and thinking global. And, what does that mean to act locally? What does it mean to understand the different behaviors that we have, not only geographically, but also across digital platforms? And so that also brings us into the realm of anthropology, which is the study of human societies and cultures and their development. My particular focus is on digital anthropology, which is online behaviors, and I'm specifically look at youth behaviors and their cultural development. What are people doing online, and what does that mean for society? And so the big question is, what are we doing now in the age of gaming? As I said, VR, AR, and how is this affecting the future of education, work, and social life? And so this is a period in which we feel that this is one of the greatest gaps between, say, somebody who's 40 and 45-year-olds, between somebody who's 15 to 20 years old, because there's just such a chasm when it comes to their ability to use technology in a way that we never have before. And it's making a profound impact on the way that we conduct our work and our outlook in life generally. And we found in our studies that there were 10 main themes that were really defining how the way culture is influencing technology. And I want to start with the idea of the future of education. What if all children could have a personal tutor? I'm super excited because Meta, your sponsor, has been one of the foremost leaders in this space when it comes to virtual reality. And with virtual reality, if you haven't tried it, I couldn't encourage you more to try it, because when you put on the headset and you maybe attend an astronomy lesson, you can see the planets before you. You can see the gaseous atmosphere around the planet. You can see the rings of Saturn and the particles. You can look at all the moons that circle specific planets, and it's fascinating. It really brings things to life in a way that enables people to understand it firsthand, whether it's dissecting a frog, traversing the universe, or even just visiting other geographies. It brings it to life because in virtual reality, it's 3D, which is the way we experience the world around us. And so that really changes the context of learning. If you add to that AI, then it personalizes the learning. So can you imagine in a future world, you don't necessarily have a standardized test. What you have is a group of modules that help people get through the specific challenges that confront them personally. Let's just say that you're particularly good at one type of math, but you have a challenge in another area. The algorithm will keep feeding you different types of exercises to help you increase your level in ways that we've never had before. So this has lifelong applications, because as we enter into the gig economy, this is what we call modular, skill-based, and composable, meaning that you can kind of level up by taking chunks of information, short courses or classes. And in the book, we talk about YouTube University as being an immersive, ever-present university. And we can easily imagine that this is the kind of thing that will follow them through their lives. And obviously, if they also have AI personal assistants, this is something that will be compounded over time, understanding what your strengths are, but also your weaknesses. And so I think that this is a great level of playing field for young people going forward. So the future isn't always bleak. We think, oh, they spend too much screen time. They're not spending enough time on their studies. But we think about, for us, Leslie Shannon and I, my co-author, we felt, looking at all the statistics, that this is a tool that young people are using increasingly for discovery, for self-improvement, for education, and for advancement in a way that we've never had before. And so we feel that this is something that companies could also do well in focusing on, as they look to increase their skills with their existing client base in ways that they've never had before, by using virtual reality, for example, for training. So PwC found that employees retain knowledge at a rate of 80% over a year after training, compared to 20% with just 1 week after traditional training. And again, Meta has been at the forefront of this, but I think that this is an example of how lifelong learning is something that we can expect with these new tools. Now, one of the big headlines we always see too is, do Gen Z want to work? And I think it's a fallacy that that Gen Z is lazy. What they are is they're very, very careful about how their time is used. This is a generation that spent some of their golden years in relative confinement, social confinement, because of the pandemic. And so for them, they're very conscious of their time. And when I was younger, the concept of a free internship, an unpaid internship, was quite normal. Whereas for young people, they think they're very clear that their time has value, and they have very clear objectives too on where they want to go and where they want to be. So again, they're spending a lot of time online, educating themselves in areas of their interest at a much earlier age. They become specialists much earlier, and they're using this increasingly as side hustles. So what they're doing is, some 70% have side hustles to cover their debt and expenses, and they feel happier and more secure working independently. And so this means that they are empowering themselves for their own future. So they do want to work, but they want to work on something that they're passionate about. And so they're more likely to say, hey, we want to have specific directives. How can I be better? How can I be at the top of my game? And if I achieve that, I expect to be rewarded. And I think that's very healthy to have those kinds of boundaries and have a conversation, because work is effectively a two-way street. And so young people are very clear about the fact that they're happy to work for you, but they expect to be rewarded and recognized in return. And so it behooves us to make sure that they have the tools and support to be successful. Another thing I hear about when we researched, it was interesting to find how many online, and their online forums were dedicated about money. This is, again, a generation that has grown up thinking that having an online business is normal. And so they start at a very young age learning the tools, whether it's building a business in Roblox or starting some sort of online channel as influencers. They're starting to make decisions about what to do with that money. So if they're building a game, do they use the revenues from that game to invest in their own business and market the game, or do they take those profits out? And then they also have to calculate the amount that they take out when it's converted from, say, Robux to US dollars, for example. And I think that this is giving them a real challenge in terms of like the business sense, but they're also learning business tools and business basics online that, again, in a way that previous generations never had access to. So this is very exciting. But it's also interesting because young people have very low interest in institutions that don't serve their needs. Digital currency, if you think about it, young people pay with their phones. They pay online. They pay with Venmo or Zelle. And so they're using digital tools to address digital needs and services. And so the concept of money is notional. It's very fluid. And so as a result, they have a sense of money and a value of money, but it's also, they're not tied to any specific currency. And so that, I think, is an interesting finding, is because whereas we always think it has to have a store of value, it's got to be backed by a massive institution, the concept of money being notional is very interesting, especially for younger people for whom it's the transaction value that is of greatest interest to young people. And so therefore, 51% would switch banks if they have a bad service or experience. Equally, if they're not able to pay for something digitally with, easily with one or two steps, they're going to get really frustrated. So as we build these online experiences, it's important too to think about, what is the monetary value for people to participate in this economy, and how can they, what is equitable? In other words, if you build an immersive game or an immersive experience, what will make people come spend their time there? Why will they spend money? Why will they build it if you're expecting them to build it? And what do they get out of it? And I think, again, going back to that fair exchange of value and having a clear opportunity for young people is really important. Turning now to another theme for 2025 that we expect is going to be very strong is the theme of relationships. And we've heard a lot about this being a very lonely generation. And it's true. For a generation that, as I said, Gen Z and Gen Alpha spent some formative, important years in relative confinement. And some of those activities, some of those courses never became physical courses again. And so it's interesting that the kinds of rites of passage that many of us might have had in our formative years, whether it was a specific dance, end of the year event or party, or specific class events or community events, many of those just were never taken up again. And many activities and social activities went online. And so this is why it's important to have a conversation about those online activities and how can we fill the gap in a way that's meaningful to these younger generations and enables them to connect more deeply. Now, we talked earlier about learning online. It's one of the most important ways that people connect online. And these friendships are being developed with people who are far away. I myself have spent a lot of time. I even had a show in virtual reality. We had a talk show in Altspace. And, sometimes afterwards we would go visit different environments, and it was wildly exciting. I actually taught the course, was one of the teachers of the course, What is the Metaverse by Meta? And I have another course, VR and AR for Business. And so I spent a lot of time in virtual reality worlds, and I found it truly magical. I am a VR filmmaker myself by training, and one of the things that you find is that friendships become very deep and very personal. And there are a number of books that we've referenced, even in our book, not books, but there are films that we referenced in our books, where one by Joe Hunting in particular says We Met in VR. And it talks about relationships that formed in VR, very close personal relationships, because if you take away the signifiers as to who we are, getting back to digital anthropology, who are we online versus our physical selves, you'll find that really you meet at a different level. Many of my colleagues, we would have meetings in VR, and then we met after the pandemic in the physical world. And it was funny because they didn't look at all the way I imagined it, because they were avatars, they were animals, they were all sorts of things except this person in front of me. And yet hearing their voice, you would suddenly remember that was that person. We went skiing together, or we went to Brazil too, and we ran around in certain neighborhoods together. And these experiences bring you back to that sort of state of childlike innocence where you're sharing true friendship because it's without the signifiers and without the external things. And so I think that's important to think about how these relationships online are evolving. So they tend to be more interest-based rather than regional. They are, again, they can be both online and in real life, because kids will often meet. We talked in our studies, we found that they prefer video or FaceTime instead of like a regular phone call. It's not unusual to have specific rituals and events in specific spaces. There was, again, in alt space, the campfire. You would just meet, maybe have a meeting around a campfire, or maybe you can hang out in some of the gaming worlds and, ride horses together and just kind of view the experience rather than actually play the game. And so the relationships are changing, the nature of how, people connect with one another. But it also reflects the changing sense of identity, so that online you can assume different identities. We found that boys often play as girls, partially because they are smaller targets to hit. And so that's one of the reasons why professional gamers often play as girls. And the other thing is, so that the young boys are seeing women succeed themselves as female avatars. It kind of psychologically sends the message that women are achieving very important goalposts, and that they're being successful. But it also means that they're not afraid to maybe wear a cool outfit as a woman rather than just being a regular dude in regular clothes. I regularly play Dress to Impress in Roblox with a male friend of mine who we write a newsletter together called Gen Alpha, and he is a heterosexual male. And he absolutely loves to wear dress to impress, and he puts together fantastic outfits. And he's a heterosexual male, but this is just to say that the old stereotypes of boys' games, girls' games, it's kind of going by the wayside, particularly for younger generations for whom this is just all a digital playscape where they're able to have these, non-gendered identities, and this kind of fluidity that we're seeing emerge more prevalently across different play spaces. Is, again, so designing a space, it's really about connection, playfulness, and fun, rather than having a sort of strict real physical life or taking traditional games and uploading them. It's really about creating a world where everything can be explored. You can be an animal, you can be anything. And so what you choose is all the more important. But the good news is, like in physical world, where you can wear a tuxedo if you're going to one event, but then you're wearing jeans to the next. We also have that same capability of being your physical self representation online as an avatar that looks a lot like you, versus a completely fantastic one. And I think both for them are equally valid. So I think that the idea of having physical representations of ourselves online in the future may be less important, which is why if you see PFPs or avatars that are kind of fantastic, like this young man with the hair, that's increasingly normal. And we're going to see that influence our physical life as well. So this kind of dualism between the online and offline. There's something called the Roblox, outfit, where you'll see in real life somebody who's dressed kind of very elaborately, and that's kind of a Roblox outfit. So we're seeing this bleed into the real world as well, and again in a playful and I think highly positive way. So entertainment is something, when we talked earlier about education being sort of UGC, do it yourself, entertainment is also becoming do it yourself entertainment. And so the the two foremost types of entertainment on TikTok is, well, entertainment plus education. Those are the two types of media that are most popular. And immersive worlds are emerging as being both in physical spaces, like I'm sure you've seen the Van Gogh touring experience, where the light projections around the room, where the room becomes effectively a piece of art. And that's becoming quite commonplace because it reflects the way young people are experiencing the world. And so what we're seeing is entertainment at scale, but this is also created by young people. I mentioned before the Roblox game Dress to Impress. That was created by a young woman who was called Gigi, who, when she was 14 years old, she is now 17 years old. That is the #1 most played game in the world with 2.6 billion visitors. And it is a phenomenal breakout success. And so this young woman is running a multi-million-dollar company that could be one of the first, billion-dollar games in the world that was created by a UGC creator on her own. And by the way, the person who's second in command is 14 years old today. So this goes to show you that the future is quite bright for young people who are building their own content. They're building their own Twitch channels. They're streaming. They are entrepreneurs who are really building a future for themselves. And I think it's wildly exciting to see them, pour their passion into something and to be able to share it with the world. I want to quickly just dive into digital media because it really goes very closely in hand with this, whether it's Discord, Twitch, Twitter, maybe not Twitter, X so much anymore for this demographic, but it's a little bit different how they receive their news and how we do and what the relationship is. 40% of Gen Z don't really trust the news. They spend a lot of time on games, and more of our generation, or let's just say millennials and upwards, really tend to spend a lot of time on classic media, whereas most young people are spending their time on things like TikTok. And so TikTok and Discord are where the conversations are happening. Whereas where we are, the older generations are on different types of media. And the reason I think this is relevant is because we want to stay on top of the trend. The reason is that the technology isn't defining culture. Culture is defining technology. We want to make sure that the joy, the fun, the creativity that we're seeing on platforms like TikTok and now YouTube Shorts and Instagram Stories, that we bring that joy and fun in, and that we make sure that this is a safe space for creativity as well, where people are able to share their hopes, their dreams, and their passions. And so we want to make sure that that is something that we bring into this, as opposed to a place where it's FOMO and it's about doom scrolling. Because I think that if you in setting those standards, we want to make sure that we draw on the very best. So those are the overall big trends for the path for the next year. And we want to say that as we continue to look at immersive and interactive media, that we are focused on delivering a technology that provides value, that can help elevate us. And I think that so far we are creating the foundations for this kinds of interaction, where young people can create content, learn, share, and thrive. I know it's very easy to focus on technologies as being the boogeyman, and I think that that's false. It's an easy narrative to fall into, but that's because we fear what we don't know. And the people who know this best are the young people. And I think we have to have faith that what they're creating on there, the culture, the content, is wildly exciting. And I encourage you to spend time with your children and exploring what they're doing, getting to know the mechanics, and seeing how you can help them thrive in these immersive worlds. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you today. It's been a real pleasure.
Catherine, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And I highly encourage everybody to read Catherine's book, Virtual Natives. I'm about 75% of the way through, and it is enlightening. So thank you again, Catherine. And Valentino, I will turn it over to you for Objective 1 to go a little deeper.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Catherine. Was really amazing also from my side. very positive, very embracing the change. And this is exactly what we want to do today. Well, let's move to the objective one. As Sunita anticipated, the objective one is all focused on the youth needs, because we should start from the youngsters. We should start from children, from teenagers. We really cannot build all of the regulations, policy making. We cannot build safe environments if we don't know exactly what are the needs of children. So we need to involve them by design since the beginning. So I'm definitely happy to explore more in depth this topic by presenting and introducing Monica Fuchs-Brandt from the Hospital School Vienna. So Monica, for years, has been facilitating the learning of children with special health needs in the Hospital School of Vienna. And she's currently researching how XR technologies can be integrated together with sensory integration to develop also strategies for safe digital application during the learning process. So Monica can provide us with very also clinical, psychological, and medical details on what does mean providing VR while keeping safe children and also maximizing their access to the great opportunities of technology. So Monica, welcome. Welcome in our digital stage. It's definitely a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, thank you. So we have already snow here in Vienna or next to Vienna. So I'm next to Vienna in the mountains. Do you hear me? Are you fine with me? Yeah. Are you good for my English? I'm trying my best. I'm also a mom who had fears about a son who was becoming addicted to gaming. But I can say I love my young colleagues who are used to gaming now, and they are part of my so-called VR crew now at the hospital school for our projects, using VR with a student with special health needs. So at the beginning, I want to give you an overview of the theoretical background of my work, and examples from applying VR in my daily work will follow then. It's about sensory integration. It refers to the process of perceptual processing in which sensory impressions are organized and processed by the brain. So sensory integration plays a central role in both perceptual processing of real-world stimuli and understanding how VR tricks the senses. Embodiment, in that case, is a complex, individual, and predictive sensory motor process of differentiation of self from environment and serves in identity formation. Perception is subject to many influences. For example, body perception and the reciprocity of body and mind are important for SI. Physical reactions such as headaches, dizziness, or nausea during VR use indicate sensory overload due to the immersion effect. What I found out is that the young ones, they can't name what's going on, so to say, just a sidestep. Because sensory integration relies on the basic senses of the vestibular, tactile, and proprioceptive systems, it is thus closely linked with immersive virtual reality and its potential applications. The vestibular system is linked to immersion tolerance, motor action planning, and cognitive performance. Torso stability is related to the basic senses, primarily to proprioception, and can improve VR tolerance. It's important children should feel in control of their own body during the identity finding process. Sensory and motor skills are closely linked, and this psychomotor cycle is the foundation of self-efficacy and resonance experiences. Children's quality of life requires sensory experiences as the foundation for a healthy relationship with the world. Through virtual worlds, a part of the person is drawn into them through their attention focus, but the body remains connected to the embodied reality. This leads to a split in people's areas of experience. the so-called transitional competency to cope with different realities develops from high quality, that is real-world stimuli, body sensory perception, and its subsequent sensory integration. From the literature research, we can identify a number of different risks, such as cognitive overload, eye strain, cyber sickness, and utilities such as sensory motor self-regulation and collaboration. And we know a lot of more of them. Let's have a closer look at some of the risks. Immersive VR acts on the self-concept, and there is clear scope for manipulating humans through visually created reality and incongruency of sensory impressions that can disrupt self-perception and self-awareness, which is based on a good connection between body and mind, and so may lead to false memories, depersonalization, and dissociation, especially in children under the age of 10. It brings challenges, especially for VR use in children, whose ability to distinguish between physical and virtual reality is not yet fully developed. Now let's have a look at the utilities. We know there are more utilities than risks, so that's why we are in a new project at our hospital school. So high quality VR content with good interaction options offers opportunities for participation and physical self-efficacy experiences for people who, due to physical limitations, are unable to experience some spaces in the physical environment. Attention itself is considered a signal amplifier, and the optimal focus due to the immersion effect speaks in favor of VR training for ADHD. Also, balance problems occur more frequently in these children. Its application in the field of neurodiversity seems interesting and promising for the future, as the pressure of suffering in everyday school life is great for everyone involved due attention problems. Through VR, emotional reactions are evoked as if one were confronted with reality. This is where storytelling for empathy training comes in. Digitality in general and operating aids employed in inclusion particularly provide additional opportunities for children's resonance experiences and participation. The meaning of sensory integration to coping with the immersion effect in VR results in opportunities. For example, considering the basic body senses could help mitigate some of VR's negative side effects, such as disorientation. The degree of perceived immersion is not only determined by the individual, but also depends on external factors such as sitting position, user view, and others. Accompanying measures, including applying tactile stimuli to users during VR experience to root them in physical reality, might reduce disorientation and dizziness. Assessment parameters regarding VR content and the description of the immersion criteria could help select appropriate VR applications for children. Let's continue with my examples. Mitigating measures are an appropriate sitting position, that is, feet on the floor, bottom and back on the chair for proprioceptive feedback, increased postural stability, and allows you to keep your equilibrium. To facilitate a positive immersion experience, accompanying measures should be applied as routine. That's a part of our guidelines in applying VR at our school, at the Hospital School of Vienna. Distant viewing helps to protect eye health, to avoid eye strain. We should follow the 20-20-20 rule. That means after 20 minutes application maximum, we start with 10 minutes, watching something in 20 meters distance for 20 seconds. It's like a game. So we say in German, I see what you don't see, and it's green, for example. And that works. It's just a routine of 1 minute. Another mitigation measure during VR experience is using a buddy system and screen transmission. The immersed person buddies up with a non-immersed friend, watching over the immersed student. Once again, tactile stimuli help ground the body in physical reality as the proprioceptive senses receive stimuli from the environment. Furthermore, spatial perception, experiencing physical space and distances and limits, helps people bringing back to physical reality after immersion. So I let the students walk around the classroom and find their way to the window where we do the exercise against eye strain, so the 20-20-20 thing. and they have to do the massage themselves because, you know, it's not allowed to touch children, but it works well. So it helps them to feel themselves again after being immersed. This embodiment during immersion is physically measurable via EEG in the cortex. For children, this loss of reality is a challenge for the developing brain, as the frontal cortex is not yet matured. And you can see it. Maybe you get them having more color in their face, for example, if it's too much. Therefore, setting clear rules for VR use in school children is strongly advised. Considering development age, when using VR with school children would enable appropriate, safe application of this technology. So thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, let me know. We are into our project and we are really thrilled to start with a lot of devices in Vienna.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Monica. Thanks a lot for sharing this data, actually studies, and also possibilities. You are going to be also part of the following sections of the day. So all of these insights have been also useful to trigger the following discussion. So thanks a lot. And now we can transition actually to an intelligence gathering session, the one managed by the Swarm platform by Anonymous AI. Just a brief description. This kind of tool is a platform that tries to merge the human insights with artificial intelligence algorithm. We are talking so much about AI. What about using AI to simplify the, we can say, the convergence of the consensus? So this kind of tool is inspired by the Swarm intelligence, and it's oriented to enhance the collective decision making. During the next step, because we are going to answer and manage several questions, this is going to be an interactive session with all of us. No personal data will be collected, and all of the results will be aggregated and published in a final report. So at the end of the day, I remember this is not only and only would be already a great, rich opportunity sequence of interventions and contributions, but we want to summarize and we want to convert this day into a deliverable, into an output that will continue the value of this day also for the audience to come. Well, first of all, to really start tinkering a little bit with Swarm, because we need to understand how does it work, you are going to find in the chat, so I invite you to check the chat, a link. The link will allow you to enter in the web page, in the platform of Swarm. And well, in Swarm, you will find the questions that I will anticipate verbally. So these questions will provide multiple answers. And the goal of the Swarm session is to find the best possible answer for each question. We will answer not just with a click, but in a very interactive way. You will find yourself, so you need your mouse in this session. When you will move with the mouse to the page of Swarm, your mouse, your pointer will transform into a magnet. And actually the core of the question is something that you will be asked to pull and to attract towards the answer that you deem most appropriate for that kind of question. So because not everybody is used to that, we need to start with the preliminary questions. First of all, let's start with the link. Okay, you can find Banu already shared the link. Okay. I invite you everyone to click on the link to move to the Swarm page, and we are going to see you. This is the final results. Thanks, Banu, for sharing. Everybody sees that. Okay, perfect. As you can see, you have the core, no, the book that is moving. That is your focus. That is your answering process. You can see the magnet. You will see yourself as a green magnet. The others are gold magnets. And when I will present a question, and after 15 seconds of reasoning, the answering session will start, you will just need to attract the book towards one of the answers that you deem appropriate. Let's make a trial. All right, let's start with the practice question. The question is, and probably, Banu, can we start also by, okay, good. What is the most important invention of the 19th century? And the options in this case are telephone, steam engine, electric light bulb, typewriter, the battery, and photograph. So we are now arriving to 0. Let's move the answer towards the option that you deem most relevant. Everybody is moving to the electric light bulb. All right. Everybody has doubts on how does it work. So we reach, as you can see, we reach consensus in a very fast way. Many people were definitely aligned on that. Okay. Well, this is actually what we are going to find in the next 10 questions. This is the interactive session when we are going to have questions dedicated to the topic that we are discussing today. 10 questions and the 2 final questions that we will see a little bit later. I will read each question, the answers after 15 seconds. It's up to you to find together the consensus, but in collaboration with artificial intelligence and the Swarm AI technology. All right, we can start with the first one. What is the primary challenge in empowering youth in immersive technologies? You already saw the answers, all right?
Valentino, I would like to just interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
So we are having some trouble with the platform. I'll just take a second to restart it and we'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me when we can start with the first one. Artificial intelligence took the control, so it's already finding the consensus for us. Let's wait a couple of seconds. In the meantime, if you have any questions also for the speakers before, more than welcome to drop your question in the chat.
Valentino, I think the link is fixed now.
So we have the question now on the screen.
Awesome, perfect. All right. Well, let's start with the first one, as I said. What is the primary challenge in empowering youth in immersive technologies? And the answers are lack of technological access, insufficient digital literacy skills, absence of meaningful mentorship, overprotective digital policies, and lack of mental capacity to comprehend immersive environments. Up to you to find a consensus. As you see, you need to align the circle with the green smaller circle to actually achieve and confirm the answer. All right, good. So we have insufficient digital literacy skills. Great. Everything is noted. Second question. Tell me, Bano, if everything is okay with the second question. Good. So what is the most critical element in fostering safe, secure, and meaningful engagement in immersive technologies? Answers: privacy and data protection measures, clear age-appropriate guidelines. But we don't see the answers.
Yeah, I think the yesterday's day is trying to interrupt with today's day.
Okay.
Okay, we got it.
Good. Okay. So this is the question that I already cited. So the answers are potentially privacy and data protection measures, clear age-appropriate guidelines, transparent content moderation, guardian monitoring tool, and law enforcement oversight. Time to you. Good. It looks like almost law enforcement, but there are forces moving to the other side. Okay. Guidelines are maybe winning. And almost.
It's going back over to law enforcement.
Yeah. Cast your vote. You can make the difference. Good. Clear age-appropriate guidelines. Good for the second question. Let's move to the next question. So to question number 3. Waiting to display that so that I can be sure. Okay. Good. Which stakeholder group has the most significant role in ensuring safe and meaningful engagement by youth in immersive spaces? Answers are technology companies, parents and guardians, educational institutions, government policymakers, and law enforcement. Time to you. It was hard consensus, almost immediately technology companies. Good. All right. We are, yeah, this is a special question, question number 4. We are going to have several answers, but we are going to explore this question 5 rounds to find actually the most supportive way for immersive technology to impact the development of youngsters. But we are going to start by defining the least supportive way in which immersive technologies might impact youth development. So you will see a list of answers, and you should find, in your opinion, in that round, the least supportive way in which immersive technologies might impact youth development. Let's start with the first round. The list is about improving real-world skills, enhancing creativity, social emotional learning, increasing technical expertise, boosting economical opportunities, and accessibility and inclusion. Find the least supportive way. Okay. Almost there. Good. So we are removing boosting economy opportunities. Time for the next round. You will find the other options. Once again, find of the remaining options the least supportive way. Let's see when. Okay, good. So without boosting economic opportunities of the remaining ones. the least supportive way in which XR tech can impact youth development. You're navigating together the complexity in the middle of the sea. Think about which one to remove from the list. We have a brain freeze. All right. All right. We can try again. Actually, once again, let's try to remove one. Looks like the consensus is quite challenging to find. You have to fight to move there, to move towards your answer. Is anybody wants to say something about the doubts? You can switch on the mic and you can provide some additional context about the answer that you want to provide. Why do you want to remove a specific aspect? This can help also the other find more consensus. Oh, we have a dominance here. Okay, increasing technical expertise. One less. And now it's time for the next round. Let's remove the remaining one. Once again, the least supportive way of the remaining options. We have 4 potential options. Okay, looks like it's moving, maybe. Interesting.
Valentino, it might be
Yes.
interesting if there is no consensus.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's still a result. It's still a complexity that is informative. Okay, enhancing creativity. Okay, so we have 3 potential options. At the end, we need to find the most, but let's remove another one. Other 2 at the end, but let's remove from the 3 the least supportive way in which XR technologies can impact the development of children and teenagers. Okay, now consensus is easier. All right. Almost there, social emotional learning. And now it's time for the winner. We have 2 last survivors. Let's remove one. Okay, let's display also the options. Good. Okay. Banu, we see all of them. And I know it is correct because we see 4 of them. Banu?
Yeah. So the question has changed to the most supportive way.
Okay,
Now we have to
okay.
select what is the most important of
Good one.
the 2. And the options are now divided into buy a lot and buy a little. So hence there are 4 options. So people are trying to pull against one of the options
Okay.
to find the most efficient way.
Perfect. So now, I think, I don't know, it's blocked probably. We need to find the most supportive way. Not XR technologies, on the opposite, can support the youth development. And we have 4 possibilities, but at the moment it's freeze. And it's not a brain freeze, it's a tech freeze. Tell me, Bano, if it is everything okay in the backend? Just a second of patience.
And it seems like your slides have stopped on the screen.
Uh,
I'm gonna stop share and share again, but you've moved on to the next question.
Yeah, maybe we can move. Yeah, we can move also to the 5th one. Okay, waiting for you sharing the the screen. Almost there. Okay, good. Okay, so now we have the 5th question. Let me also recap it, but what is the most significant benefit of youth involvement in designing immersive technologies? And you're already moving, trying to find a consensus around the 4 answers. So fresh, innovative perspectives, improved market relevance of products, increased user safety and security features, and in the meantime, you achieve the brain freeze, which is okay. Someone wants to comment it. Like, feel free to drop any kind of comment in the chat or switch on the mic to provide your perspective on this kind of challenging consensus. Anybody wants to say something? Okay.
Hello.
Otherwise, yes.
I think when it comes to the youth, if the youth is contributing in designing the immersive technology, then I guess that we can assure that the relevance is there for our target audience, which are the youth also. This is my opinion.
Thank you, absolutely. And maybe if we can see also, okay, good. We are back also to the question. Actually, okay, we can also restart. Let's restart once again, final time to potentially find a consensus among the 4 solutions. What is the most significant benefit of youth involvement in designing immersive technologies? Why we should involve them in designing, why we should involve them in the co-design, as also Harisco was saying. What is the value? It's going to be innovative, it's going to improve the relevancy of products, the safety, because it's potentially aligned by design or by feeling and by the needs of youngsters, and also potentially enhance technical efficiency. There are 2 forces moving from fresh, innovative perspectives. Some others are moving towards relevancy of products. Okay, fresh, innovative perspectives. That's an interesting take. All right. Yes.
I think either 2 of them is actually relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a second, Bano, because we are already moving to the other. Sunita, yes, okay. If there is an answer that is not shown, okay, sure. Okay, let's move to the next one. It's running. Okay. As you can see, what is the most critical aspect of digital literacy skills needed by youth for their safe, secure, and meaningful engagement? And you already found the solution. So the consensus was quite okay. Cognitive capacity for critical thinking and ethical reasoning. Good. We have 3 more questions here. Which method is the most effective for teaching youth digital ethics in immersive technology? So it's mandatory compliance training, it's interactive scenario-based learning, it's theoretical classroom discussion, or it's peer-led workshops. How we can really teach in an effective way digital ethics about XR to the youngsters. Okay? Everybody, a lot of people are quite focused on almost there. Good. Interactive scenario-based learning. Good. And next one is, what is the most significant risk that you expect from immersive technologies for youngsters? Physical health issues, privacy and data security, reduced social interaction. This is happening many times in the discussions. Cognitive impairment, like addiction and compulsive use, or mental health issues. Which one could be the most significant risk, in your opinion, resulting from the use of immersive technologies? I see the screen frozen. Okay, we see here. Perfect. Privacy and data security. Okay. Exactly. I see sometimes people joining also the platform. Please join the link of Swarm AI that was shared before by Banu in the chat. Next question. Well, if we talk about the risk, but what is the approach that, in your opinion, is the most effective for mitigating the risk in immersive technologies for young users? Law and policy, providing strict usage restrictions, so regulation, co-design and collaborative governance, or guardian-based oversight, or industry-led self-regulation, or digital literacy education. So we talk about the risk, how we can minimize those risks. Which one is the most, in your opinion, effective to mitigate those risks? All right. Almost there. Okay.
I feel like the anticipation is killing me.
Some supportive magnets moving towards digital literacy education. Let's see, and that's digital literacy education. Okay. All right. So, and what should be the primary goal to engage young users in immersive technologies? Immersive technologies, they are engaging. They are compelling for many reasons: psychological, emotional, even physical, if the experience is designed in the right way. But what is the goal of this engagement? It should be creating responsible digital citizens. It should be maximizing creative exploration, generating economic opportunities, or building social connectivity. This is an interesting kind of list of answers, because think about these technologies that are seen sometimes as isolating people. What about using them to build social connectivity beyond the borders, for example, or creating responsible digital citizens beyond the limitations of the physical one? Let's see. Creating responsible digital citizens, and that's an interesting one. And thanks, Billy, also for this. It's also an information. Learn how to stay safe. Absolutely. And next one, how can interdisciplinary education enhance youth readiness for immersive technologies? By isolating technology-focused curricula, or by integrating technology in the broader subject areas, or focusing exclusively on STEM disciplines, or fourth, reducing emphasis on arts and humanities. So let's see the answers. I don't know if on the platform it's already ongoing. Maybe we will see already people magneting the answer. Okay, 3 seconds to go. How can interdisciplinary education enhance the readiness of young users for the use of immersive technologies? Good, almost there. Integrating technology in the broader subject areas. Very good one, very interesting one. Okay, this is just a question from the organizational point of view. But do we have the time also for the final rate questions?
Yes, Valentino, we'll have time for that.
Awesome. All right. So we are going to have just very short questions right now. First, rate the potential impact of immersive technologies on youth development in terms of fostering empathy through shared experiences. From 1 to 5, 1 very low, 5 very high. So in this case, the answer is a degree. The potential impact of immersive tech on youth development in terms of fostering empathy through shared experience. VR and XR, they are not only individual experience, they are network, community experience, how this experience can foster empathy, how much they can foster empathy. High. Almost there. And it's high. Okay. Perfect. Let's move to the next one. Rate the potential impact of immersive technologies on your development in terms of enhancing creativity. Do you really think that we can enhance creativity of children and teenagers and young adults by using XR? How much? 1 is very low and 5 very high. But you see immediately also the results here. Okay. It looks like there is consensus. It's high again. Okay, another one is how much can we use XR technologies with youngsters, of course, to improve collaboration skills? Once again, XR is not only an individual experience, it's not only individual content, it can be, and in many cases is, collaborative. Can we use this technology to improve collaboration skills remotely, beyond the barriers and limitations of physical spaces? How much? From very low to very high. Okay. Good one. And the very last 3 ratings. So the potential, okay, of using XR technologies, immersive tech, to increase technical expertise. Think about the training, think about the education, the acquisition of skills. Can we use XR to help young users acquire the skills, to increase technical expertise? The best way to learn is to learn by doing, but what about doing remotely? What about using this tech to learn? How much, in your opinion? Okay, we have a shift here from high to very high. Okay. Last 2. Let's see the potential of immersive tech for young individuals in boosting economic opportunities. So do you think this is going to become an economic opportunity for the future generations? A place where to build content, a place where to build products, a place where to deliver services or to connect with potential customers? Is it a place where the future youngsters and future adults can build economical value? Let's see how much. Okay. Good one. Perfect. Moderate. And the last one, what about reducing traditional learning barriers? So can we use this tech to overcome the barriers of traditional learning, of the classroom, of the even of the limitation of e-learning? Because it's a different thing than the traditional e-learning. What about in this case? Rate this potential. Almost there. Two conflicting forces. Almost there, maybe. Okay. Almost out from the brain freeze, and it's very high. Okay, cool, perfect. We did it. Thanks a lot for actually interacting and for joining this exercise. As I said, no personal data collected, but all of the data will be we can say, summarized and accessible also later in a dedicated report. So we are arrived right now for our first break, 10 minutes break. It's up to you, switch off the cam, but please stay tuned, stay connected, because after we are going to start again with the objective 2 and with many other speakers sharing their expertise. So 10 minutes break right now, and see you, in 10 minutes. Thank you again.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're now going to resume the roundtable discussion, which is focused on the second objective that Banu just put on the screen, responsible design of immersive experiences. I'm Sunita Patel, and I'll be your moderator for this open community discussion, which, again, I'm so excited about because we have a fantastic number of experts that are going to be providing their insight to all of us on this critical topic. So for this portion, we have 10-minute remarks that are going to be provided by our featured speaker, Natalie Shi, followed by a set of presentations, all of which are 5 minutes each from distinguished community members to shed light on Objective 2. You are encouraged to raise your hand and add your own remarks at the end of this, time permitting. Please use the raise hand function to share your perspectives. So as context, the expert-led 5-minute long presentations focus on how adults and children can proactively shape the digital landscape to better serve the needs and aspirations of young people. Again, as Valentino has mentioned, the goal is to create actionable plans for building youth-centric immersive technology ecosystems and responsible approaches to creating immersive experiences that foster digital well-being, creative expression, and inclusive engagement through design practices. We will incorporate our findings from our discussion in Objective 1, this objective, and Objective 3 in a report that will be published by XRSI. So now it's my pleasure to be able to welcome our featured speaker, Natalie Shi. Natalie Shi is a Reality Labs policy manager at Meta, where she leads on VR, MR devices, and the ecosystem. She counsels on product strategy and development on issues like privacy, youth, and openness. She regularly consults with external experts and advocates to incorporate their feedback as part of this process and to collaborate on educational resources, and has briefed many global stakeholders on the company's approach and new product launches. She holds an LLM in law, technology, and entrepreneurship from Cornell Law School and an LLB from University College London. Her writing on data privacy and governance has been published in outlets like Slate and Wired. So it's my pleasure to turn the stage over to Natalie.
Thank you, Sunita. It's really great to be here. Yeah, as Sunita mentioned, my name's Natalie. I'm a Reality Labs policy manager at Meta, where I focus on Quest and Horizon on issues like privacy and youth. And I'm super excited to be here today to talk about building responsible immersive experiences as part of this youth empowerment track. I'll be talking about Meta's commitment to building the metaverse responsibly while providing safe and age-appropriate experiences, our approach, guiding principles, some examples in our Quest and Horizon products, and why working with external stakeholders is such a key part of our process. So the theme of the session is youth empowerment, which to me means giving young people the space to explore and enjoy the benefits of digital platforms and innovative technologies, while also ensuring that the right guardrails are in place so they can do so in a safe and age-appropriate way. At Meta, we take a multi-layered and comprehensive approach to enabling this. At its foundation, our approach is centered on enabling healthy communities, safe experiences, and positive norms for all users through governance tools like our code of conduct for virtual experiences, as well as technical tools like pause, report, block, and mute. The qualities of being synchronous, embodied, and immersive are what makes the metaverse unique, and addressing those novel aspects alongside what we've learned from 2D digital experiences are a core part of safety and integrity in the metaverse. So on top of this foundation, when thinking about experiences for young people specifically, we start from recognizing their unique developmental needs and taking those into account in MR and VR. We know, for example, particular risks may impact them more than adult users, like mature content or experience that allow for interactions with other users. So we have what I referred to earlier as age-appropriate safeguards that address those risks that can take many forms. And I'll walk you through some of the choices that we've made in the Quest and Horizon system design to ensure that those safeguards are in place by default. So for content, for example, we have content ratings and restrictions for apps and worlds. All apps are rated under the International Age Rating Coalition, or the IARC protocol, which is an independent age classification process. Worlds and Horizon Worlds are rated according to Horizon content guidelines, and these ratings indicate the age groups where an experience is suitable for and is shown in an app or world's description page before it's accessed. When we think about social interactions and the concerns around that, young people's social privacy settings are set to the most conservative option by default, for example. So profiles are set to private, active status is set to off. And when we think about safety and well-being by design, in Horizon Worlds, we have safety tools like personal boundary and voice modes that are switched on by default. Personal boundary prevents others from getting too close to a user's avatar, and voice mode garbles the voices of those who don't follow them back. And there are also other aspects of MR/VR that are unique that we consider, including physical safety and having boundaries and making pass-through very easy to access for our users. In addition to these system protections, empowering parents and guardians is also a key part of ensuring that each individual young person is receiving the right support for their specific needs. So we do this through parental supervision tools and education in places like Meta Family Center. Raise your hand. Feel free to raise your hand if you're a parent or you use Quest headsets with your family. Amazing. With our supervision tools, we know that young people of different ages have varying needs. So for example, a 12-year-old probably has a different developmental and maturity level than a 17-year-old. So our parental supervision tools differ in the level of autonomy, control, and oversight afforded to preteens and teens on Quest and Horizon. For preteens 10 to 12, we rolled out a new parent-managed account structure last year where the account is set up and managed by their parent and parental oversight is mandatory. So parents have to approve all apps their preteen can use regardless of age rating. For teens, parental supervision is optional to balance the greater consideration for autonomy, but parents must still approve apps that are rated age inappropriate for their teen. There are areas where supervision capabilities are the same for both teens and preteens. Parents can view time spent, set time limits and breaks, because screen time is a big concern for all ages. We also encourage casting, which enables you to see what's happening on your headset on another device, like your phone or TV, as a tool for parents. Okay, aside from these back-end guardrails, it's also crucial for empowerment for us to provide tools that allow young people to make meaningful choices for their own experiences. So in Horizon Worlds, we provide users with the pause function that allows users to temporarily take a break from the virtual experience while being able to access tools like mute, block, or report. And we also provide diverse options for self-expression and exploration in the avatar system. So we have different body shapes, types, clothing, accessories, hair, accessibility accessories. We recently introduced fantastical avatars as well. And we have a way for users to check how their avatar appears before entering a social experience in case they want to change parts of their appearance in different contexts. Language is also really important to ensure that young people are educated on their options and can make informed decisions. So we take care to communicate in a way that young people understand. And this includes involving visuals and tailoring the reading level in product, especially in key moments like when we're creating an account or setting up the device or introducing new features and updates that they should be aware of. Because so many of the experiences on our platform are from a wonderful array of third-party developers and creators, we also invest in fostering a healthy ecosystem by working closely with that builders community to ensure that they understand youth and integrity requirements and tooling. For example, we offer a Get Age API, which provides an app with a user's age category to ensure that they have access to age-appropriate content and experiences. The last thing that I'll touch on is our collaboration with organizations and people like you. In making product decisions and launching many of the features that I talked about, we consulted regularly with external experts and advocates with expertise on privacy, youth safety, and accessibility to incorporate their feedback as part of product development. And that perspective really helps our teams anticipate and mitigate harms that people and society are most concerned about. Our advisor's guidance was critical to the development of parent-managed accounts as well as teen parental supervision tools. Aside from product consultations, we also collaborate with subject matter experts to publish educational resources on key issues, which I think are so valuable and I always learn so much from. I'm going to highlight some resources that we published this year on meta avatars because avatars are such a key part of the metaverse identity system, enabling people to embody like one-of-a-kind representations of themselves. For young people, this does come with a host of considerations because young people are actively exploring and iterating on their identity and self-expression in both the virtual and physical world. We heard consistent feedback from experts that they wanted to see more educational resources for young people and the adults in their life to help them make informed decisions around how they want to appear to others in virtual spaces. So we worked with Dr. Rachel Rogers, who is a professor at Northeastern, whose work focuses on media and youth well-being. And we published a guide on safely and authentically representing yourself through avatars, which was written with young people in mind for young people and their parents and guardians. And that's freely available on the Meta Family Center. We also collaborated with the Berkeley Center for Equity, Gender, and Leadership to create a guide for app developers, and that resource is available on the eGal website. It establishes an industry-wide best practice for building avatar creation experiences that meet the needs of diverse and global user bases, including youth. Finally, we prioritize direct engagement with youth and families using our products to make sure that we are meeting their needs. So we do that through UXR, but also through co-designs and workshops that allow for deeper discussion and co-creation. In our iterations to improve on the parent-managed meta accounts that I mentioned, we conducted research workshops with parents and teens globally alongside expert observation, and that informed our approach to introducing new capabilities, including safe social interactions. And we published a report that shares the learnings on the TTC Labs website. Okay, I think that's my time. But to sum up, empowering youth to have safe and age-appropriate experiences in VR and MR is a huge focus at Meta and involves balancing a variety of equities and interests. But we have resources and staff dedicated to this, and we want to collaborate with you to continue improving. And participating in Metaverse Safety Week is a great way to do that. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm super excited to be here and really looking forward to the discussion and hearing your thoughts on this topic.
Thanks,
Natalie, thank you so much. And now I'm going to turn it over to Valentino to kick us off with the first of our 5-minute presentation.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Natalie. Once again, it's for any kind of company, it's extremely important to know and to clarify what the ecosystem providers and what the tech providers are actually sharing with this company in order to design responsible and safe solutions. So thanks for sharing your insights and your perspective by Meta. But now I'm super happy also to introduce our first contributor, 5-minute contributor, Alvin Graylin. Alvin, okay, perfect. Let me introduce briefly Alvin. Alvin Graylin is a global VP at HTC. He's a technology pioneer with 30 plus years of innovation in the fields of artificial intelligence, XR, and semiconductors. Formerly China president of HTC. He's also chair now of Virtual World Society. Congratulations also for this great selection, and leads major VR alliances. Author together with Luis Rosenberg of Our Next Reality, he really shaped the VR industry, securing the HTC position as China's top VR brand and being named the most influential figure in China AR/VR sector in the past years. Alvin, the stage is yours. Thanks a lot for your contribution.
Well, thank you for that introduction, and big shoes to fill. I've been in part of the Safety Week for a number of years now, and I think you guys are doing amazing work and really bring some important topics. Right, this particular session is really about youth empowerment and how can youth, what should we be doing to help the young folks in our world, in our industry, do more. And I think the integration now of AI and XR into the industry and into our society is going to be increasingly important. And as the job world will be changing because of a lot of the automation and productivity gains that we have. We need to really help young people find some renewed purpose, because I think that's one of the things I hear a lot right now. I'm spending a lot of time talking to groups and talking to students and talking to corporate leaders, and they are finding it more and more difficult. Young people are finding it more and more difficult to find jobs out of school. So, and I think there will be, because AI is getting to be able to do a lot of things that junior workers used to do, that struggle will actually be increasing. So I just put together one slide that I think may be helpful advice to give to young people that might be shareable. Can you guys see this okay?
Yeah.
Can you see it? Okay. So, given I only have 5 minutes, I'm going to go quickly. And I think time is actually the only true, I guess, constrained resource going forward, because we're, in a virtual world, everything is abundant. And in an AI-powered world, almost all cognitive capabilities will be abundant. So it's really about how do we spend our time going forward. And it's important I think for us to tell and help our young people find their purpose and find their calling, so that they have something that they can devote their time to, something that they feel passionate about, because we will be spending less time doing things that just to make money, and spending more time doing the things that really will matter to us and matter to the world. And we need to teach our young people to actually question what they're told and think critically on all aspects, instead of just accepting what's in media or what's in their textbooks. And for them to do that, they really have to have a broad set of soft skills. In the past, we've been so focused on STEM, so focused on learning how to program or math and science, which are important. But in a world where answers are going to be increasingly cheap, knowing what questions to ask is going to be increasingly important, and that comes from having soft skills and broad understanding and more fundamental understanding of self and your place in the world and your ability to impact the world and your ability to communicate to each other, because that, even when AI takes all the jobs, we will still need to be able to communicate to each other and to make the human side of the society productive and functional. And we need to get them to move into longer form content because so many of them are right now focused on, 20-minute or 20-second TikToks or 2-minute, YouTube videos. We need them to read books. We need them to read to see long form interviews, long form podcasts, really get to understand something at the next level, not just at the surface level. And unfortunately, most people just don't do that. They spend I think there's data that shows something like 42% of college graduates never read another book in their life. And that's a very sad statistic. Right? And we need to get them to spend more time in these devices, whether it's XR devices or AR devices or, and using these AI tools, because those things are going to be part of their world. Those things are going to be part of their work and part of their social life, and they need to get comfortable with it. Right now, I think a lot of people are still scared of using it. They still think it makes them sick or it makes them look nerdy, and there's probably still devices that could be more comfortable, but they need to get used to using them, because in the next 4 or 5 years, if you're not wearing a AR device or XR device that is powered by AI, you will be, 50 to 100 IQ points less intelligent than the people who are. And we need everybody to be smarter and to be more objective. And we should probably encourage them to spend less time watching TV and on their social networks and playing games, because those are just the return on investment for that time is very minimum. And if that's our major constrained resource, we need to be conservative in how we use it. But at the same time, we need to make sure that young people do spend more time on their health and fitness and even sleep, because I think they and me as well during my younger age was very prideful that I didn't sleep much, and I don't think we want that type of an attitude. Without a healthy body, you are not going to be able to have a healthy mind. And also not to be constrained by your physical location. Whether you travel physically or maybe even virtually, we need to get people to have a much more global view, and be less constrained by the media and the environment that they were born in. And at the end of the day, I think the people that will matter to us most going forward will be increasingly our family, and we need to spend more time with them, and to develop that closer relationship. So young people usually want to go away from their family when they're getting to a certain age, but I'm getting to an age where I really regret not having had spent more time with my parents and my children. So, and at the end of the day, we also all need mentors, real human mentors that have been there and done that and can give us advice that is, for our benefit, not just to sell us something or get us to join something. And we kind of go back to the top, is that the purpose and calling, and we really need to help our next generation think at a higher level and think at a global level and think about how do we create more unity in the world versus more divisiveness, more tribalism that's happening today, because those are just creating unnecessary conflicts around the world. And if XR tools can let people learn languages better or see other cultures more, I think that is an amazing and useful use case. So if there are people making that kind of content to help create greater global understanding, I think I am very supportive of that happening. So that's all I have. I didn't want to spend too much time, but thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot for reminding us such human things in the domain of technology. That's fundamental. This is what means keeping humans in the loop. Definitely. Sunita, please.
Thank you, Alvin. I definitely agree with many elements of your action plan and plan to implement it for my own children. So So I'm going to now take this opportunity to introduce our next 5-minute speaker, Jessica Stone. Dr. Stone is a psychologist and CEO at Virtual Sand Tray. She has been a practitioner, professor, presenter, mentor, and author for more than 25 years. Dr. Stone's interest in therapeutic digital tools, specifically using virtual reality, tablets, and consoles, has culminated in clinical mental health use and research for mental health, medical, and crises settings. She is the co-creator of the Virtual Sand Tray app for iPad and the Virtual Sand Tray for virtual reality. Dr. Stone has numerous publications to date, including integrating technology into modern therapies, gameplay, play therapy theory, and perspectives. Play therapy and telemental health and digital play therapy, in addition to numerous chapters in a variety of other books. I could go on and on about your background, but I'd like to turn the stage over to you so you can let us learn from your background.
Great. Thank you so much. And I'm going to do my best. 5 minutes. I have a timer going, so we're good. What I thought I would do with this 5 minutes is, as I tried to think to some really fundamental concepts that then, in other conversations and in other places can be expanded upon. So in thinking about 5 strategies to cultivate this literacy, emotional intelligence, future-ready skills are really the focus that I'm going for today. Thinking of these digital literacy, fostering emotional intelligence, what our healthy habits and balance can be, skills for future use, as Alvin was just talking about. I mean, he spoke about a number of these, but certainly those skills for future use. And then also mental health components, which of course, as a clinical psychologist is a key component for me. In developing these digital literacy skills, I think figuring out what the fundamentals are so that they can be extended and generalized into other areas is really, really important. So if we're looking at areas like critical evaluation, how do we pay attention? How do we fact check? How do we identify the biases that are in different tools, different environments, different programs, et cetera? Figuring out what credible resources are. How do we teach our youth, and really any of us, any age, how do we learn how to discern information that is valid and credible or not? In AI, we talk a lot about hallucinations and all of that. So trying to figure out what those key components are. And then ethics, digital citizenship can go into that as well. Who you are in the space, who other people are, how people treat each other, having safeties in place, all of that. And understanding how to use them. Also understanding how to use a variety of things that are in our settings. Whenever I teach classes or I talk with people about VR in particular, I'm talking with them about what kind of control and what kind of accessibility features, et cetera, are available in settings, and always advocate for checking those out. And also on the other end, when I'm informing and helping companies with development of different programs, talking with them about those components in their settings and in their program as well. When we're talking about emotional intelligence, I mean, this is a huge topic. To just break it down into a couple pieces, we have self-awareness, to pay attention to our own, as I was saying, digital citizenship, who we are in the space, how we're treating other people, how we're allowing ourselves to be treated. Hopefully, that can lead to empowering them to make very thoughtful choices and cultivating empathy for others, but also for ourselves. And then encouraging that respectful communication. I know we have plenty of arenas where there are safeties in place, and that's really important, but also to encourage and empower people to also put those boundaries and those standards in place for themselves as well. Who do you want to be in this world? And how do you want to be in this world? And how does that reflect in the way that you are in the world? promoting healthy digital habits. I'll talk about this so much. Definitely don't need to go into great detail, I'm sure, with this group of fantastic people here. But just as some key items heading toward balance. Anything can be out of balance. Somebody can read so much that their life is out of balance. Somebody can exercise in that way. So there's so many different ways. If we recognize and acknowledge things are out of balance, looking into the reason why, what's behind the reason why it's out of balance, and then how can we rectify that and get those needs met in a way that will benefit the user for the future. All kinds of skills. This is just a couple of them: coding, programming, designing, learning about all of these: artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, automation. We are at a point where we're aware of so many of these areas, and then we also are unaware of so many things that are coming in the future. But it is very clear that our future holds these components, and preparing young people the best we can with all of these different pieces so that they can navigate this and be successful in the future. And then finally, we have supporting mental health, mindfulness, awareness, open dialogues. That's families with each other, that's intergenerational, that is being involved in what your children are doing, and then being able to be support for them and understanding, and that includes education and training for parents as well, and these psychological impacts that can happen in multiple directions. And that's it. Thank you. I think I hit my 5-minute mark.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jessica. I really appreciate your words. And it reminds me of some work that I did on the National Cyber Workforce and Education Strategy. One of the critical elements of that is ensuring foundational digital literacy skills for all of society, right? And of course, there are some challenges as well in trying to ensure not only are our youth taught these digital literacy skills, but we also have teachers to teach them these things. So definitely appreciate your comments. Thank you. And now I will introduce our next 5-minute speaker, Jonathan Kennedy Soa. Is he here? All right. So Jonathan is a dynamic innovator, educator, and entrepreneur dedicated to advancing STEM education, fostering technology inclusion, and shaping impactful policies. As the founder and CEO of InnovTech STEM Center, he has empowered over 17,000 students and trained more than 2,500 teachers. Yes, through programs focused on robotics, AI, and emerging technologies. Recognized internationally as an exceptional personality in tech in 2023, Jonathan has also contributed to national policy development, including reviewing Ghana's national science, technology, and innovation policy. He is committed to empowering youth, promoting digital literacy, and advocating for the safe and inclusive technology ecosystems that prepare the next generation for an increasingly digital future. So turning the stage over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. Okay. Please can you see my screen?
It's coming up right now.
Okay.
We can see your screen, so you should be good to go.
Okay. So, good day, everyone. My name is Jonathan Kennedy Soa from InnovTech STEM Center. I'm very privileged to join this session and to discuss about the era of virtual worlds. So when we heard about the virtual reality here in Ghana, we were so excited, but then we didn't know how effective that was going to be because we didn't have the technology over here, so we didn't know how to use it. But then we were just excited about the possibility of having something like that. So when we started using it, we realized that it is not just about the future, but then it's something that is shaping our present reality from immersive education to AI-powered interactions. And these spaces are transforming how students learn, how they work and socialize. We also read somewhere that by 2030, virtual technologies will be as essential as smartphones. So let's consider how these spaces will empower and prepare the next generation to thrive. The advent of virtual reality brings a very huge potential, but then from our part of the world, it has its own challenges as well. So these challenges ranges from limited access to emerging virtual technologies and underserved communities. There are a lot of students in Ghana here that haven't seen or even touched a computer, a laptop before, not to even talk about having access to virtual reality. And the people that will also train, the teachers that will also train the students, do not also have the relevant skills to even teach these kids how these technologies work. And then there's a huge gap in inequality among the youth over here when it comes to digital literacy. So these are some of the vital challenges that affect underserved communities from having access to these amazing technologies. Our vision is very simple. Our vision is to equip the next generation with the tools, the skills, and confidence to lead in virtual spaces. And we are currently doing this by going on a nationwide outreach to underserved communities. We provide them with the tools, the technologies. We stay in each community for about a week and then just introduce them to the amazing world of technologies. They learn coding, they learn robotics, they learn virtual reality, and then they see the potential of these things that they always hear about. They now get that confidence, that hope that, oh, okay, if this is possible, then there are a lot of opportunities out there for me. Because these kind of students have no idea what this means. So the moment we introduce them to that exciting field, they get so excited, they get so curious, they come up with so many questions. How do we get this? How can we do this? How can we build a space? Or how can we build an environment in the virtual world? And these questions blow my mind. So we focused on three core areas to empower the youth through STEM by including VR and AR in their classrooms. So we teach them, we have a curriculum for virtual reality and augmented reality where we teach them how to use them, how to create environment. We also do coding and robotics. They learn how to 3D model and then create games. And then these are so expensive. Access to this kind of technologies are so expensive. So we make it very accessible and affordable to all of them so that each and every student can have access. Because I personally come from a background where I did not have access to a computer when I was young. So I had to drop out of school at a really early age to work at an internet cafe in order to have access to a computer. So I don't see why students should go through the same challenge I went through when I have the opportunity to bridge that gap. So this is how we are currently building the virtual ready generation in Ghana through our workshops. Like I mentioned earlier, we travel throughout the country to provide access. We do hands-on STEM workshops on simulation platforms, and then we also partner with tech organizations who are very ready to support our vision and to making sure that everyone has access to these amazing technologies. I know some of you will ask why this matter, but then it matters because it's going to transform traditional learning into interactive and exploratory learning, where students not only hear what the teacher is saying, but then kind of immerse themselves into that. They get to experience what is actually going on. Okay, how does a plant grow? They just get that opportunity to experience it. And then we also create a pipeline of skilled workers for future industries and promote inclusivity and diversity in tech life. So that is what we do before my time gets up. This is how we can reach me. LinkedIn, you can scan the QR code and get my contact. But then we are open to collaborations and partnerships where we can work together to bridge this gap because we can't do it alone, and we know that together we can do more. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Kennedy. Thanks a lot for your presentation. And I'm happy to present the next speaker, Catherine Nips, CEO and Director at Children and Tech. She's a clinical doctoral researcher, online harms consultant, public speaker, author, and child and adult trauma psychotherapist. She's also co-director of the journal Cybersecurity in Digital Mental Health in Frontiers. Catherine, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Valentino.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm going to be a little bit repetitive in certain aspects in terms of esteemed colleagues I share similar thinking with, so I will keep it to a few notes that I made earlier on, but actually I'm going to expand on something that you put at the very beginning of today's conversation. And it's thinking about the word empowerment and thinking about what young people and children need and require, and then how that can apply to technology. So my thinking around empowerment, taken from Jessica's PowerPoint, is we generally use a whole village approach, and that was used in terms of the conversation right at the outset. And in psychotherapy, we talk about alloparenting, which is the use of all members of the village to raise children. And when it comes to what children need specifically, I'm going to repeat what other people have said here. It's that level of literacy, it's a level of knowledge, and that knowledge comes in a way that Sir John Vervaeke calls this perspectival knowing. And you can only really have the knowing of what to do and how to be in some of these spaces if we provide that conversation, that training as the adults around the children. So my thinking about what you started out with was, what do children need? Well, they need a village of adults, and the adults are both the parents, the practitioners, certainly the tech companies that really understand children. And to use a metaphor that I've got in some of my books, I'm going to talk about that city park. And I think I've talked previously in some of these meetings about the playground that we built for the children, but then we didn't necessarily give them the tools and ability to utilize and use those pieces of equipment. So if I really think along the lines of psychological theory and attachment, children need a secure base, but they also need the encouragement. They need us to be without anxiety or to maintain our anxiety. So when they go for a climbing frame or a slide or a swing, we encourage the use of that equipment, but we also sit and we take care of them. We hold their hand, we introduce them to the equipment. And I think right now, because of the anxiety that surrounds technology and social media, I think we may end up in a very, very similar space with the newer technologies that are still, relatively new in terms of extended reality. And that's going to put us into a position where we as the adults need to know what the technology is, and we need to go to the playground. We need to see the equipment. And that requires us to effectively take a breath, reduce the anxiety that's been created by certainly the hysteria around social media and smartphones and what damage it's doing. And we need robust evidence that can support what it is that we're going to do. But what I actually thought was, and I've got some little notes from things that my clients have told me in the therapy room. So these are direct statements from children who have used the technology in the therapy room with me, and we've had discussions. So a Gen Z client said, we need to try it. And with that client, I've used a piece of software from a company called SceneGraph, and they produced a mindfulness app. And in that mindfulness app, there's also a space in which they could go and give a lecture. So they got to stand in a virtual environment behind a lectern, and they got to talk to an audience. And it was an environment in which they could try out a real life scenario. And this is one of the things that I'm seeing in education that really, really helps young people, whether it's trying out an interview. And certainly when you were looking at the education side of things earlier and what you talked about yesterday, this is that immersive learning. So I think there's something about Gen Z wanting to try it, if you like, try it before they buy it. And little Timmy, as I'm going to call it, because that's actually a little bit of a Easter egg for the young children in the virtual environments. Make sure there's no adults, but also the adults say, make sure there's no kids. And what little Timmy said, age 9, is we can tell if it's a kid by the voice. So we need other people to be able to protect us and make sure that the kids' space is exactly that, the same as it would be if children were on playground equipment. We wouldn't allow the adults to go on the playground equipment with them. And one of the things that another child said is, where is the storyboard intro video? So this is, where's the introduction to using the environments? Where's the introduction video for using a game? They're not necessarily in the VR environment the same as they are for video games directly. And certainly, how can we learn how to? So that might be how to NFT. And this was a conversation that came up. And I noticed earlier that Catherine had the Bored Apes in her NFT part of the conversation that she did. So this reflects what children and young people tell me, which is they don't always know the rules. They don't have the environment in the real world that matches that which is in extended reality. And we haven't to date seemingly provided them with the right kind of, I don't know whether it's a video infographic, whether it's a conversation, but certainly this is what I think we need to do in terms of being able to support children with what they need. But also I think it's what the tech companies can do. And I think that was objective 2 in terms of what we're really talking about here. So in terms of that, those are really the only notes. But I would certainly say one of the things that I adore with being able to use this kind of technology is when I work with children who love to play games and they do not have to be themselves, and they do not have to have their microphone on. And I have a client who has a stutter, and the non-verbal kindness he shows in these environments is outstanding, and he gets to play these games without having to be in a space and an environment where he can be picked on, if you like, for his stutter or his disabilities. I will end there because I know we're on 5 minutes, and really I just wanted to bring in some of what my children in the office tell me.
Thanks a lot, Catherine. Thanks a lot for this very interesting remarks. Sunita, please.
Yes, Catherine, thank you so much. I constantly think about what role should the adult play in these types of conversations, and whether the adult is in fact best situated to make decisions for youth that are going to be in these experiences, right? So thank you again for your comments. I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Azadeh Jamilian. Ozzy, as she is known, is a founder and CEO of the Giant Room Co-Design Lab for families and schools. She is a TED speaker, former head of education strategy at Little Bits, and co-founder of Tigly. Ozzy has designed learning products and programs that millions of families have engaged with, and thousands of schools have implemented in their programs. Through her work at the Giant Room, she has partnered with more than 4,000 schools, museums, libraries, and organizations such as the Joan Gans Cooney Center, Lego Education, Scratch Foundation, Brain Pop, and Lysol to provide community engagement, design, and learning programs. She has a PhD in cognitive studies in education from Teachers College, and has published on topics such as designing learning platforms for family engagement and emerging educational technology. I'll turn the stage over to you, Ozzy, and thank you again for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for the very warm introduction. I'm Ozzy from the Giant Room, and before I start telling you a little bit about our work, I wanted to start with the why behind why the Giant Room exists and why we believe in empowering youth to actually bring their voices into products and experiences that are being designed for them, and why adult designers need to actually have ears and eyes for children's ideas as they design these experiences for them. I grew up experiencing 3 different education systems. I was actually born in the midst of Iran-Iraq war, in an education system, school system with ideologies that my family didn't actually believe in. And to protect us, they kept encouraging us to come up with our own games, design, in a sense, our own experiences outside of all the chaos that was happening around us. And then a few years fast forward, we moved to Canada, whole other education system. And there, for my English language skills, I was told that I need to go 1 grade lower. And I protested that decision, asked to write a math exam. And I never forget that day. I was sitting in front of this math test, full of questions about hockey, a sport that I had 0 clue about its rules or how it works. So I couldn't answer any of the questions. And there I was experiencing a whole other education system with the right intention to align itself to students or kids' interests, but it made assumptions about who those students are and what type of experiences they may have. And then again, I moved to New York to do my grad studies in education, and we were focusing on this math game. It was a digital math game that we were designing in our lab, and I was very excited to take this math game, take it to schools, and see how kids actually play with it. And we had like completely very well-designed experience from the very beginning to the end. We knew exactly what students will do, and we were just curious to see how they will like it. And again, I found myself in this 2nd grade classroom in front of this child that was trying to sell me chocolates, but I was there to actually have him to play the game that I have designed for them. And there was no space for that child's voice and what that child wanted to bring into his own learning experience. And that's why today the Giant Room exists. It's we say it's a company for kids with giant dreams who dare to act on them. And we really mean that by every word. We wanted to provide a company that empower youth to know how to actually articulate their ideas, providing opportunities for them to be at the design table of the real products, real learning experiences that are being designed for them, provide ideas, provide feedback, and actually being part of those experiences that hopefully shape millions of other children around the world. I give you a few different examples of the work we've done. But before that, I wanted to emphasize two very important distinctions between what's user testing, that is like a good practice that majority of companies, hopefully they do, but is a difference between user testing and co-designing actually with youth. With user testing, usually designers are designing the product, but they will take their product in front of the users to see how the users are actually interacting with it, and if they're interacting in a way that they were intending. And then based on those results, you may decide to change the UX of your product. You may decide to change some look and feel of the product to some extent if it's possible. But it's not necessarily designing certain features. All the design decisions have been already made. It's kind of like how I took our math game into the classroom, and I wanted to see if the child can actually drag things to count it. But I had already designed it, but I wanted to see if the child can actually do it. When we say co-design, it's what we mean by that is the designers actually collaborate with children and family in some cases, or educators, around the same table. So it's a non-hierarchical design meeting that everyone contribute to those design decisions. And for adult designers in the room, it's very important to know how to actually interact with children, how to make meaning of their ideas, and how to create space for their design ideas. And then the final product, hopefully it would be nothing that the designers, either parties, either kids or adults, could have designed on their own. It's truly a collaboration between the two groups. I give you a few examples of how we brought this actually in practice. One of them is was in collaboration with Scratch Junior. They wanted to, if you are not familiar with the game or with the app, it's a block-based coding program. It's being used by millions of children. It's out of MIT Media Lab, and now it's an independent nonprofit company. What they wanted to see was that how kindergarten students who don't have any coding background, how they interact with their Scratch Junior app, and what are some of the resources and guidance that they need to actually start coding on the platform. Here's the link I'm putting in the chat area. You are more than welcome to look into that. You will see how we invited children to actually design certain coding blocks that would go into the platform, and analyzing those coding blocks that children designed to understand what are some of the interactions they might be interested in. How do they even process the idea of coding certain actions, certain behaviors in a software, and so on and so forth. And as part of that, we were also looking into how they think about how they interact with different features or different avatars or sprites, they call it in Scratch, as they are coding this program. So if you have time, I highly, highly recommend to check out this blog post. And then the nice thing about the blog post is that it shows how the designers from the Scratch Junior team took the data that we got through these code design workshops and actually converted into action plans for their next sprint of product design. Another example that I wanted to show you, to share with you, this was also a co-design series in collaboration with John Ganscuni Center on a new app that is not actually in the market, which is called Planet Agora. This one was actually focused on how children could learn digital literacy, how they can actually think about concepts like biases, safety, misinformation as they interact with digital information on this messaging app. Let me share with you the link to that. I have it from our website, but there's a link from the website that goes to the actual blog post. So you could read that blog post to see what are some of the ideas that kids actually provided and some of the insights that they provided that was actually very helpful for designers as they were designing this the social messaging app for children. And some of them could be applied to any social media app. Some of the concerns kids had and some of the worries that they have or questions that they have when they are interacting with different types of social media. And finally, I wanted to just give you one other example. This is a product that we're doing internally. We're currently co-designing. It's through a grant from Robin Hood Foundation and another collaboration again with John Gans Cooney Center at Sesame Workshop. To design this platform that help kids to actually design their own learning media. So they reflect on what they're learning in the classroom. They write stories, fiction, nonfiction, informative, different types of text, and they publish those texts into books and games they can share and play and read with their friends and family. This is through our Giant Remix program, and I will also share a link for that as well here in the. So
Thank you so much. Sorry, the time is up.
Ozzy, thank you so much for presenting to us. We really appreciate all of the efforts that you and the Giant Room are pursuing right now. Yes, and please do share the links in the chat if you can. And I'll turn it over to Valentino for the next speaker.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm happy also to present our last 5-minute speaker, Joao Francisco de Aguiar Coelho. Hopefully I say that in the right way. He's a lawyer at the Instituto Alana from Sao Paulo, and he specialized in children's digital rights and strategic litigation. And very interesting, he helped launch a Brazilian version of United Nations guidelines on children's digital rights and worked on cases protecting these rights in Brazil. So, Joao, the stage is yours. Very curious to know more about the project and your perspective.
Thank you so much, Valentino. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so thankful for the invitation. So as a lawyer and an advocate working with the promotion and protection of children's rights, I will be framing my 5 minutes contribution around international law and some of the things that we can extract from it as far as designing for children go. But before getting into that, I think I would like to start by highlighting something that I believe is crucial to these discussions, that is acknowledging that children still have unique needs and vulnerabilities that do not change because they are exposed to technology from a young age. So what I mean is that even though children may have very different experiences today than they had, for example, 10, 20 years ago, they are still people who need to be outside. They still need to be playing with their friends. They still need to be in contact with their peers, in contact with nature. They still have not yet developed completely the regions of their brains that are responsible for inhibitory control, for example, and for the suppression of risky behaviors. They have a limited ability to understand the dynamics of the digital economy. So while all of this may sound obvious, I think it's important to highlight, because I do think we need to be careful with this idea of digital natives or virtual natives, because we are still natives to this earth. You know what I mean? We're still made of blood and flesh and bones, and the needs that we have as human beings, and particularly as children, they are still the same. So if we want to design digital services and products with children in mind, this should be our starting points. What are their needs? What development phase they are on? And how the products can impact not only their experiences in regards to the digital technologies, but also their life at large because of the way those products are inserting themselves in their lives. So this is my starting point, and thinking about how we can build digital experiences that cater to children's needs and to children's specific vulnerabilities. We luckily do have some parameters in international law that provide very important guidelines on how children's rights can be promoted and can be protected in the digital environment. And of course, the most important of them all is the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is the most ratified human rights treaty in all of history. 196 countries ratified it. And this document provides that children's best interests shall be a primary consideration in any decision undertaken by public or private bodies that might affect them. So this, of course, includes the design and the governance of digital technologies. So what the convention is saying is, listen, if you are developing a product or a service that may impact children's lives in any way, the way that the product or the service will impact those people should be something that is of primary consideration in every decision that you are going to make in regards to the design of said product or service. So more specifically about the digital environment, the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, which is a legislative body related to the convention, has published in 2021 its General Comment number 25, which specifically provides on the way state parties should interpret and apply the convention in regards to the digital environment. And a lot of what is in this general comment, I think, should be really regarded as important guidelines to the industry, to the tech industry, when products and services are being developed. So in regards to immersive technologies, the general comment states that it should not, that those digital environments and those immersive environments should not be used as marketing tools to direct advertisement to children because of their unique vulnerabilities. The document also highlights that children have a very specific need for free play, for playing with friends and playing in a way that allows them to use their creativity, and that this sort of play with friends should be done also in person, and that digital interactions should not substitute for those needs. So when we think about the design of immersive experiences, I think this is very important because I think they tend to leave children more immersed in the services for a longer time. So this is absolutely something that I think is crucial to be kept in mind. And finally, the general comment also recommends that the business sectors, whenever they are producing and putting forth a new product or a service that can impact children, they should undertake child rights impact assessments that will allow not only for risks to be identified, but also mitigated before it is actually harming children. So I think those are just some examples of guidelines that are contained in this document. Of course, I won't have time to go through all of it, but I think it's really important that we strengthen these guidelines among all stakeholders, and particularly among those who are working in the industry, to make sure that children's rights, children's internationally recognized rights, are actually incorporated in the design of digital technologies. So that's what I had for today. I'm happy to continue conversating moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Yao. Thanks a lot for reminding us that when developing digital technologies, we are impacting the rights of the children that are going to impact their entire life as adults in the future. So these are very specific rights that have a domino effect on the life of people. So they should be considered very carefully. Thanks a lot. So we are at the end of this community session. So many different perspectives, so many different triggers. We have time now for a longer break. Banu, how much time do we have actually?
We'll only break for 10 minutes this time.
10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. We are going to have our 10 minutes of break, and I remind you, stay here. We are going to have a last objective 3, very interesting, another key speaker. See you in 10 minutes. Thanks again.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, so I will be your moderator for this last community lab session. That's going to be focusing on Objective 3, Community-Led Youth-Centric Digital Futures. So this session is going to include some remarks by our featured speaker, and then we will proceed with a Thinkscape exercise, which I will explain a little bit more after we have our featured speaker. So with that, let me do the introduction for Geraldine Periguet, CEO of XR Pedagogy. She is a passionate advocate for the transformative power of immersive technology in education. With expertise at the intersection of psychopedagogy, I am completely butchering the way I pronounce that, my apologies, and education, she co-authored Immersive Education and contributed to the chapter on Pedagogy by Design, which explores how emotional engagement in virtual reality fosters meaningful learning. As a consultant for the World Bank Group, Geraldine focused on designing and implementing XR solutions for educational projects in emerging countries. So with that, let me turn the stage over to you, Geraldine, for some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sunita. No worries. This is a hard word to pronounce, but I never found the right translation for it. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to try to share my screen and then be able to share a quick presentation. There we go. Okay, you should all be able to see my screen now. Good, perfect. Okay, so yes, my name is Geraldine Periguet, and I lead XR Pedagogy, and our idea is harnessing the potential of immersive education. And I'm also consultant for the World Bank, and I contribute to initiative Leverage for Education Development. My background is in psychopedagogy. So I'm trying to introduce this very broad topic and sharing few of the insight I've gained from my experience. So first, talking about the importance of youth-centric design. So today, young people today are digital natives, navigating a world more interconnected and immersive than ever before. They are not just consumers, they are creators, innovators, and decision makers in the Metaverse. However, there are critical challenges, and I think it was very well mentioned before, but I will just insist on that, is probably digital literacy gap. Like many youth lack the knowledge to navigate immersive technologies safely and meaningfully. And I will also add emotional risks, because virtual environments can evoke strong emotions, sometimes excitement and joy, but also frustration, fear, or confusion. But at the same time, the opportunities are amazing and immense by focusing on multidisciplinary education, blending creativity, technology, and critical thinking. We can prepare young people for the future of work and life, and co-designing with youth also ensures that these spaces reflect their needs, dreams, and value. So the question we need to ask is, how do we create immersive ecosystems that empower young people to take the lead in designing their digital future? Okay, I'm going to change. So now I'll be happy to share my insights from psychopedagogy by design. So in my work, I've seen how emotions profoundly shape learning, especially in immersive environments where the sense of presence intensifies their impact. Because emotions influence how students engage, process, and retain information, making it essential to consider their emotional well-being when designing virtual experiences. So this is where the concept of psychopedagogy by design comes in. So psychopedagogy combines psychology and pedagogy to address both the cognitive and emotional aspects of learning. And by applying this integrative approach at XR Pedagogy and then some other projects I've been involved, we designed virtual environments that are not only educational, but also emotionally healthy for students. So I'm going to give you a few examples. Like one of them is an example of an earthquake preparedness project in Guadeloupe, in France, in the Caribbean area. And we use psychopedagogy by design to create virtual environments that teach risk management while ensuring emotional safety. And our strategy includes minimalist graphic design. This reduces sensory overload, allowing students to focus on essential elements without feeling overwhelmed. Clear role definition. We provide stability and guidance within the virtual environment, helping students feel secured and engaged. And we also use empathy mapping. To understand students' emotional state, we tailor the experience to meet their needs and provide reassurance. And we leverage also avatars. So these are examples of the strategy we were using. So we leverage avatars to address the emotional challenges of making mistakes in high-stakes situations. So we use avatar to model behavior. And students observe 3 avatars, 1 demonstrating the correct response and 2 making errors. So this allows students to reflect critically on action without the burden of personal failure. And we also include emotional adjustment period. So we give students time to explore and adapt to the virtual environment before engaging in the core learning activities. And this adjustment period reduced anxiety and fostered confidence, ensuring they could fully engage in the experience. So this strategy demonstrates the power of what I call the concept of psychopedagogy by design in creating emotionally safe, impactful learning experience. And by addressing both emotional and cognitive needs, students were not able to learn effectively, but also felt empowered to make decisions and reflect critically on their choice. So now I also wanted to emphasize on the fact that it's all about their participation. So empowering youth through participation is crucial. So another example I would like to share with you today is youth empowerment, thanks to their active participation to Metaverse hackathon we organized in Sicily, in Italy. So French and Italian students aged 14 to 16 came together to design a metaverse for mathematical and logic activities. And over one day, they co-created a space where they could collaborate and learn beyond physical borders. And here we go. And here is very little of all the amazing emotion and result we've got as teacher, as company, as technical advisor, and everyone who was involved in this beautiful project. But the impact overall was mind-blowing, because students develop problem-solving and collaboration skills. They gain confidence in using cutting-edge tools. The virtual environment became a bridge, allowing continued collaboration long after the hackathon, and ended between a very nice collaboration between the French high school and the Italian high school. And they exceed our expectation in terms of their design and how they envision their metaverse to learn mathematics. So this project highlighted the importance of giving youth the tools, guidance, and creative freedom to shape their digital environments. So here are a few pictures of students explaining their choices, how they build those metaverse. On the right, you see a teacher helping and guiding a student for the first time in VR, and then different groups working together. So as we look toward designing youth-centric futures, I want to leave you with a challenge. How can we actively involve young people in shaping the immersive technology they will inherit? How can we ensure our policies, frameworks, and tools prioritize their emotional well-being, creativity? And in my opinion, the answer lies in taking actionable steps, such as organizing co-creation workshops like hackathon to give young people a direct role in the design process, integrating digital literacy program that teach ethical and responsible use of technology, equipping youth with the skills to navigate and innovate safely, and developing inclusive policies that ensure immersive technology accessible, safe, and designed with everyone in mind. So I think together we can build a digital ecosystem where young people are not just participants, but leaders, empowered to innovate, collaborate, and thrive in a world they've helped shape. The future of immersive technology depends on their voice. Okay, this is the end of this talk. I hope you appreciate. Thank you so much for letting me speak. And as a token of appreciation and in the spirit of the holiday season, I'd like to offer you 2 ebooks I've written. So if you want, you can scan the QR codes and you can access them by scanning, the QR code. And it's one of them is about safety precaution for the use of AR with kids, and the other one is more a practical guide for educators. But through the links, you'll find all the resources we are sharing with you. I hope this will open the conversation and you liked it. And I'll let Sunita take the rest.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much for joining us. And your comments really did tie together quite nicely all 3 of the objectives that we have for today. So thank you again for joining us. All right, and now we are going to be doing an activity. It is called a Thinkscape exercise, where all of you will join a tool for amplifying collective intelligence through real-time conversation. Using this tool, we will try to answer 2 questions aimed at examining how we can equip the ecosystem consisting of guardians, educators, and other stakeholders with knowledge and tools that will enable us all to empower the youth as active participants in these discussions. At any given time, no personal data will be collected beyond already permitted, and the aggregate output from the exercise of the collective intelligence session will be published in the lab report that we've been mentioning throughout the day. So with that, I'd like to turn the stage over to Chris Hornbostel from the Unanimous AI team to help us conduct this Thinkscape session. And as a reminder, Thinkscape won't work from your mobile or tablet. It'll only work on your laptop and desktop. So with that, Chris.
Thank you so much. And thank you for allowing Unanimous AI to show off our very unique platform for facilitating large group discussions. I've popped a link into Thinkscape. If you click that link, you'll be brought anonymously onto our Thinkscape platform. And you will be just click the join button and you'll join with a username, an anonymized username that will be a color and an animal, just like when you're working on Google Docs. So everybody will be something like pink elephant or yellow tiger, something along those lines. But we do that to just as an easy shorthand to preserve anonymity for anonymous groups. Our Thinkscape platform helps to solve a couple of problems with large group discussions. The first problem is some noted problems that we all know happen, which is that oftentimes the loudest or most frequent voice in a discussion can tend to dominate things. The other issue is sometimes it's just difficult to have a discussion with more than just a handful of people. Once you get more than 5 or 6 people in a discussion, it's very hard for people to talk and feel like they're having input, that they're being heard, that they are basically part of the discussion. So what we do with Thinkscape, what Thinkscape can do is facilitate discussions for groups as small as 7 or 8 and as large as we've tested it with groups of 300 to 400 people. And so what I'm going to do, I see that we've already got a number of people in. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So I am actually going to show a very short video within the ThinkScape platform that will kind of explain how things work, how our platform handles this. So if I could get your attention on this small animation, there's no sound to it, and there is actually no sound required on our platform. I'll just take a moment or two to show how ThinkScape works, and then we'll proceed to our main discussion. Okay, wonderful. So as the animation kind of explained, in just a minute, we're going to break our group of about 12 people into two smaller think tanks, and we will allow you all to discuss these questions that I'm going to pose. There'll be an AI agent in each room that will identify themselves to you. There's no hidden AI going on here. It identifies itself, and those AI agents will carry ideas and summarized ideas back and forth along with reasoning between the two rooms. A couple of things that we have for accessibility. If you click the letter A icons in the lower portion of the screen, uh, you will get an enlarged text if that's something that you'd like to use. You can also try out the speech to text microphone in the lower section of the interface. That speech to text microphone works great, but we do ask that you be sure to keep Zoom muted so that we're not hearing you speak your thoughts necessarily through Zoom, and we'll do everything through a text chat. So our entire discussion today is obviously going to be related to youth empowerment. Today we've got two outstanding questions, and we're going to use these two questions to gather ideas, almost like a brainstorm, but just to kind of collect ideas of the groups. We also especially are interested in your reasoning. Getting the how and the why of people's answers are always incredibly, incredibly important to us for developing our post reports in ThinkScape that can provide groups with actionable action or actionable information. So let's proceed. I'm going to post our first question, and it's a very detailed question. I've also got a slide that you'll be able to refer to as you answer this question. But here is our first question today. How can we foster a collaborative approach between schools, families, and community organizations to create safe and supportive environments for children to explore immersive technologies while addressing concerns about online safety, digital well-being, and responsible digital citizenship? So essentially, how can we foster a collaborative environment between all these leadership groups to create a safe and supportive environment for children to explore immersive technologies? And as soon as I know some of you are already typing, that's outstanding, and your ideas will start to populate. Some fantastic answers, and shortly you will see these answers also being shared back and forth between the different rooms. Excellent. That was a fantastic discussion. Thank you so much. We've got one more question that we want to consider. I also want to mention that sometimes with Thinkscape, we use a platform to arrive at a consensus, or we use it to converge on a top answer to get sort of a ranked order. However, with these two questions today, we're actually looking almost for just as many ideas and as many reasons as we can find within our groups. And Thinkscape's also able to facilitate that kind of a conversation. So without any more talking from me, I'd like to follow up from our previous question. And so for this next question, consider the context of the rapid evolution of immersive technologies like VR and AR. And here's our next question. Given the rapid evolution of immersive technologies like VR, AR, how can we best prepare educators and parents to understand the potential risks and benefits for children and equip them with the knowledge and tools to guide children towards responsible use? And I'm going to go silent and let you folks discuss. It's fantastic to see just a group of passionate and intelligent folks discuss a topic that is very important. And I will quickly note that we've got enough people online that I've actually broken us into 3 separate think tanks. So there will be answers circulating between all 3 think tanks today on this question. Okay, thank you all so much for that outstanding discussion. And as was mentioned, we will be compiling all of our findings from today's discussion into a report and sharing that with the teams. So thank you again so much for participating. That was an outstanding discussion.
Amazing. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks, Sunita, also for introducing the section. So we are actually at the end of this long day 3 dedicated to youth empowerment. Well, this is the farewell, we can say, part of the program. Thanks a lot for everybody joining the session, for all of the speakers, for all of the team, of course, Kavya Perman, Banojit Chaudhary, and Sunita, of course, for being an amazing co-chair together with me in this digital stage, to all of the attendees and to our partner collaborators. So Meta for sponsoring once again this event, for making this event possible, but for making this accessible to everyone that joined, and to Unanimous AI for bringing these amazing tools to really find consensus, to really use AI in a creative and productive way. Not to replace creativity, but really to accelerate strategic thinking and brainstorming. We really started with the goal of embracing the change and also having this kind of positive perspective of on innovation. I really hope that everybody of you will go back with many insights, with many ideas, with many, we can say, even new plans and new projects that we all connected, and created new useful collaborations. Also, remember to connect on LinkedIn all together. I want also to remember that if there is a day 3, is because in the back end during the entire year, there is a child safety initiative that is constantly working, that is pushing forwards projects on how to really ensure a safe and responsible use of digital technologies for children. So this is a day that celebrates also the work of Child Safety Initiative, and it is the beginning of many of you may be joining the initiatives in the following weeks and months. So let's definitely keep in touch. Feel free always to connect with the XRSI, visit the website or follow it on LinkedIn. Let it be at the beginning of a journey of collaboration. And of course, we are going to prepare, starting from tomorrow, probably the basis for the next Metaverse Safety Week. Sunita, I don't know if you want to add something also at the end of this common journey.
No, I just very much appreciate everyone's comments and participation on such an important and critical topic. Let's not just only talk about it, we need to act. So continue the collaboration in the future, and I look forward to working with you all.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot really for all of your comments, all your messages here. And enjoy your day, enjoy your evening if you are in Europe, enjoy your day if you are in the US, all around the world. That's an amazing celebration of a community, global community. Thanks again. And this is not the end of the Metaverse Safety Week, because tomorrow there will be another Metaverse Safety Week day. So let's definitely keep in touch. Thanks a lot, and talk very